Hi, I just wanted to ask, what are the skills that you feel are lacking, which are in demand today in the industry, that might be also the most useful skills that you need, but is there do you need lots more programmers, for instance, or do you need more artists, or what do you think?
So the question is just about what skills are required in the industry?
What's in demand, sorry. Is there any skill set lacking?
I don't think there are very many companies actually hiring and looking specifically for people. So I think to create an indie team, you basically have to make it yourself. And I think it's very hard for a single person to be both a programmer and an artist. So I think a team of one of each, at least, works best. So I'm a programmer, I can't draw at all. So I team with an artist, he's in Adelaide, and he does game design and music and everything else as well. And I think as sort of a minimum team, that works quite well. But I think, there's marketing and all those kinds of things. Within your team, you need to do all those things too. So I think it's really a question of what team you can build yourself if you want to go down the indie route.
The technical artist is probably, I think, the most valuable in the industry if you're looking over east and internationally. At InDesign, definitely technical artists were the bridge between the left and the right brain thinking people. There's such a divide between programmers and artists, and you need somebody who can talk both languages. So I think if you're looking at a larger studio, the tech art is, if you can get into it and understand enough of each of the fields, that will set you in good stead. And then as an independent developer, having knowledge of both sides means you can do a bit of both and experiment in your own time on your own projects. So yeah, definitely I wouldn't pick, definitely need more programmers or more QA or anything like that. I think just having a better, well-rounded knowledge of all the different aspects will be the best way that you can position yourself to do independent or in a big studio.
Can you just describe what a technical artist skill set comprises?
Well, so I mean, there's going to be more of a slant one way or the other. I think you'll get artists who understand the scripting in Max and Maya or Illustrator if you're doing 2D artwork, who can understand sort of the graphics pipeline about not just being able to draw, but to be able to create something that will end up running inside a game engine. And those are the skills which will really differentiate them from being the senior people within the studio, because they're the ones who will be able to dictate to the rest of the artists who just have the drawing skills how they need to construct the artwork to fit into the pipeline. And then you'll get other programmers who are a little bit of a creative flair. They're not going to just completely ruin everything when they take a nice bit of artwork from an artist, and they're the ones who have to integrate it into the game or build the shader pipeline, or maybe they're building the user interface. They need to preserve as much as they can and maybe extrapolate the artwork a few times out to create variations. So I think there's a few different types, but they're probably, I think, the most valuable.
I might throw the initial question to Crystal as well, because different methods is one of the employers' input.
So most recently we employed an animator and a modeller. That was what we were looking at there. But really there's a difference between what's demanded and what's wanted perhaps in the industry. And there's a large creative force in the Perth industry, particularly in games. Most people seem to be directed towards that, but there is a real need for a business savvy approach and developing the marketing skills and that area within the Perth industry. Getting it to the next level, particularly what you're aiming at, where you're wanting to get your game developed, what console, what platform are you going towards. And those are the skills that are needed to get it to that next level.
Yeah, just something to add. We ran a survey a couple of years ago, and the largest area that was missing was marketing.
So what is a good marketing plan for somebody who's developing a game?
The question was, what is a good marketing plan for someone who's developed a game? A very good question. I'm going to put this to Matt, because he's a sort of self-marketer.
Well, I have a way. I don't know. I mean, I borrowed a bunch of different ideas that I'd seen from successful, particularly iPhone software companies.
because there are some really successful companies out there that are less than 5 or 6 people, you know. And one in particular, Tap Tap Tap, they have a blog, and it's very easy to find, probably taptaptap.com. And they put a lot of articles out about some of their approaches, but some of them they had something pre-baked, because basically with them, I'm sort of beating around the bush a little bit here, but they put out a indie bundle, and this bundle was a lot of, I don't know, moderately priced apps, dirt cheap, and they compiled a mailing list from that bundle, and I think they had something like 400,000 names. So when they release an application, they emailed everybody from that bundle to say this thing's out, and their apps are so sort of general purpose, like appealing to anybody, that they didn't really need to vet that list down at all, and so that helped them a lot. So I thought, well, I'll do a mailing list. I didn't have a huge list of people to prepare, already prepared, but I made sure that I promoted this game, the incident. I promoted it. By the time we had enough ready to be able to make a YouTube preview, so the website went up, a trailer went up, and a little email address, you know, subscribe, put your email address here, plus a Twitter account. So there was a Twitter account that people were slowly following. We were sort of leaking screenshots and trailers, I think over the course of about 2 months. So we were basically trying to prepare a big chunk of people that we could get the word out to in an instant. And that's the trick as well with the App Store, is you have this sort of 3-day rolling average that determines your rank. So you've got the best chance, I don't really understand how this works, but you've got the best chance of having a good rank on the first day. I think it's something to do with you'll maintain that position for a couple of days. So if you can be good on the first day, then you've got a head start. So we wanted to attack that. So as far as I remember, it was basically Twitter, mailing list, and just making sure that we got the beta into as many hands as possible. There's quite a lot of gaming blogs out there, like Touch Arcade, Slide to Play. There's a lot. Once you start searching, you can find plenty, and just make sure that they know your name and that they're interested in what you're doing, and presumably the next one I'll already have an in, you know. So the next time I have a game, I'll be able to not have to convince them as much. So yeah, that's what I tried, and that was reasonably successful. So yeah.
I'll just say that Saxon and also Random Morrison from Nomic Studios did some presentations for us last year, and they're available on our website if you'd like to hear them talk about how they produced and then released their games.
How important is the title? Do you do any market research around that, or just asking notes what's a good way of doing it? And is there also some universal system of trademarking or copywriting a title across platforms?
The question was essentially, what's in the name? Sorry. That, you know, do you put a lot of effort into determining the title, market research, and what else is involved?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, you have to obviously make sure that it's not taken on the App Store. That's important. You've got to make sure that it's got very few Google hits. It's not ridiculously generic, so that, well, the incident is fairly generic, but you also have to take into account that if you're successful, then you'll surpass the things that are up the top if you haven't already heard of them. In our case, I really liked the name. It wasn't taken as a game, but there was an album by Porcupine Tree. And so they're probably gonna, you know, they're gonna beat us generally speaking, but there was a period where we were on top of them in the Google hits. So yeah, those things. Is there a Twitter account free? Is the name not taken? Will it give good Google results? You know, basically you want to stick with at least 2 words, I would say. Unless it's a non-existent word, you know, like if it's a dictionary word and it's 1 word, then good luck, I guess. But you know what I'm saying? It's basically, that's the approach we take. And plus, we really liked the name. So there's that.
Is there a formal process for trademarking? Or
oh, sorry, I have no idea, actually.
There is. You can trademark names. You can register a trademark in Australia, which is kind of useless if you developing for a global audience, you're much better off trademarking in the US. But then you have to consider what categories you're filing under. So we, with Class 3 Outbreak, we didn't trademark it, and we're now, if you search for Class 3 Outbreak, we're #1 on Google, so it's not something that anybody else would really try to attack us against. But more recently, we have filed an application for a trademark with the US, and we had to file that under 2 categories. So one, I think, is software as a product, and one is software as a service or something like that. And so that was about $550, which covers you for about 7 years or something like that. But you have to actually be using the name. If you're not using the name yet, then it costs a certain amount, and then a bit more later on once you start using the name, something like that. But it can take 18 months for the trademark to come through. So I don't think trademarking is really something that we necessarily need to worry about that much. And at the end of the day, it's really a battle between the pockets of the other person and your pockets as to who has the most expensive lawyers anyway. So it doesn't afford that much protection that I think it's that much worth worrying about, unless you're trying to call the game Coke or something like that.
It's very little that money is going to do to increase your success online in terms of rankings, apart from paying people to talk about it and that sort of thing. It's all very, the success of your product and the ranking of your name is going to depend on the success of your product. It's sort of self-iterative like that. So I don't think it certainly didn't cross my mind, at least, to go and pursue any kind of trademarking in international online presence. It's not a huge issue.
I guess I'll just ask on behalf of a bunch of people here. How would you guys suggest is the best way to get involved in making games?
Make some games. Yeah. I mean, really go home tonight and make a game. It's really there's such a big range of quantity and depth and skill set required to make a game. They can be extremely simple and they can be extremely complex, and I don't think there's any barriers from stopping anybody in the audience going home and making a simple game tonight. Even if it's like some of the ones that Nick was presenting, if it's a paper game, it's still that idea of media and mechanics and creating some kind of fun. Apart from that, come along to the game jams. I know we'll definitely have one again pretty soon. They're a great way to meet people and actually put your head down and actually work on a game and share some ideas and actually have a result at the end of it. And hopefully that'll motivate you to go and do another one, and maybe commercially release one. So.
A good thing that's going at the moment is letsmakegames.org has got a challenge every 2-3 weeks. So join the forum for that. And that's just a release, kind of strange in a way that when I'm not making a serious game, I'm sort of messing around making these silly games for the challenge. But it's a good little sort of contained exercise for you, so that you've only got 2 or 3 weeks to build a part of a game from start to finish. Also, you get on the forum as well, so you start to meet people that way. I think the main thing about making games is completing games, and so doing short little challenges like that is a good way to start to get to understand just what you're getting yourself into. Once you commit to one of these things, it can consume your life. It goes that way. So, and you've got to have a passion for it as well. So yeah, get onto Pygmy as well. Pygmy is good because the email list, because you get to see that everyone is still out there doing stuff, talking about things. You might not hear anything for a while, and then somebody is putting out something like Chris is doing the beta test on his game now. So you're not sitting there by yourself at home beavering away. There's other people out there doing the same thing. So becoming a part of the community and understanding just what's going on is the big way in.